Let's do it. Semi-finals of the European Pro Tour Weekly. They went up against each other in the Masters Coliseum a couple of days ago. That was a pretty convincing win for Reynor. Is today going to be different? We're about to find out. Oh, Calazur 2-0 Spirit. So it's Clem against Calazur. That's actually kind of cool.
Let's get it on.
Round 1. Fight!
Bottom left side of Hecate, we are looking at the main base of the Prince of Denmark, the best Protoss player on this planet. Has he learned from that best of 3 that happened, give or take, 3 days ago? Storm Gaming's MaxPax. And earlier today, I spent a little bit of time to resume that game from replay. The game that MaxPax had with Reynor on Hardlet. I asked Reynor if he wanted to play it against me, and I could resume it from replay twice. Reynor started laughing and said, sure. So we did it 3 times, and he destroyed me 3 times, and that was it. That was the story. Top right side, we are looking at the main base of our Italian stallion, Basilisk Reynor. Resumed from replay is a super awesome feature, and I still feel like it's not used as much as it should be used. The only thing that can be a bit annoying is that if games are long, it really takes a long time to get up to that point. So it's not like you can resume and do it again and do it again. Like, it takes a couple minutes to set it up. But it's obviously a very fun way to play out certain scenarios. And it can also set a lot of debates to bed, right? If you're like, oh, I think I could have done this, or I could have done that, or that the other guy should have won. Well, just get your hands on the replay, resume the game from replay, play out the scenario. I tried it, but I'm no MaxPax, and I'm definitely not as good as Reynor. Thought I could just aim move him. Turns out it's harder than that, guys. Shocker, right? Just a bag of mini Burger King Whoppers. I've been live for, how long, guys? 3.5 hours. I only had a schnitzel today. That is all I ate. All this talk about Whoppers is making me hungry. I would truly appreciate it from the bottom of my heart if you guys could stop. I need to do a best of 3 and a best of 5. After that, we can talk about Whoppers. Very standard opening here for MaxPax. 1 gate, fast expand, very quick, well, very quick. Quick Stargate. Adapt into Stargate even before Warp Gate got fired up. Reynor has a gasless opening at first. He doesn't seem to be too worried about getting his hands on quick gas. Makes me wonder if MaxPax would have 2 adapts early, if there is something that he can get done with them. It's all about the economy. Every single drone that is mining gas early on is obviously not mining minerals. And gas is great for upgrades, but it doesn't allow you to expand. It doesn't allow you to get any richer in the beginning of the game. Actually really surprised that we've gone, well, not really surprised because it's obviously somewhat common, that it's Adapt Stalker into Oracle. So Reynor opens in a pretty damn greedy way because he starts up Zergling speed legitimately late with this build. But yeah, obviously if MaxPax only makes one adapt, he's not really going to punish him for it. MaxPax just says, I'm going to counter your greed with my own greed. And Protoss players tend to expand very quickly in this matchup. But this is very quick, even for modern high-level PvZ. They might meet in the playoffs in a couple of days again, might get some dumb builds here. No, I think it's a lot more likely that, even if they are worried about that, which I don't know, MaxPax has not been a player in the past who really hides builds. Like, if he thinks of something being great, he's just going to use it at any given moment. He actually beat Reynor once with a very smart Zealot all-in on Data C, and he just used it in like the semifinals of the weekly. The man did not care. It was an ultra smart all-in. Nobody had ever done it before like that. And I was like, holy fuck, that's awesome. He won with it, and he beat Reynor. But then Reynor was just like, well, I'd rather see him do this now than in the ESL Europe regionals, because then it could have been a lot more problematic. And then when they did play against each other in the regionals, Reynor won convincingly and was obviously familiar with the all-in as well. But what you could see though is obviously that players will play very normal, very along the lines of what is currently considered to be meta. So then it just comes down to execution. Not necessarily a silly build. I think both MaxPax and Reynor will do their absolute best to win. But they might try to win in the most normal and standard way that we are used to when it comes to high level PvZ. You still think that Bow and Arm would have won that game? Oh, well, I should resume it from replay. Have some fun with my man Bow and Arm. We have a couple of oracles killing drones as the adepts do get surrounded. So the oracles killed 3 drones, but we lost all 3 adepts. Now adepts are not very useful units forever, but they're still somewhat useful. You know what's really funny, guys, is that when MaxPax plays against almost every other Zerg out there, he's always so in their face. He's harassing middle lines non-stop with the adepts, with the main 2 oracles, with the side oracle. And I don't know if it's because he's a bit intimidated by Reynor's speed or skill or Reynor's vision. But against Reynor, he always seems a little bit more timid. And that obviously has a lot to do with who he's playing. But I wonder if that all comes down to the way that Reynor positions his units, or if MaxPax just doesn't believe in certain things against very good players. But he believes in it against almost everybody else. Thank you to Focure. I have no idea, mate. I'm just gonna go with AOG. Thank you, AOG, for the Prime, and thank you to Hemrick B for the 8 months subby. Much love. Thank you, thank you. A very casual 6 minute 38 second infestation pit going down on the side of Reynor. As MaxPax is just kind of standing there in the center of the map, just very focused on his own economy. Maybe he believes that being aggressive is just not the way against Reynor, because Reynor is going to have an answer for most of the things he will throw at him. So he's a lot more focused on his own macro and quick transitions and wants to win a different kind of game. Does have an Observer in the mix now, and with Observers it becomes a little bit easier to push back the creep. There was a safety stasis trap there on the left that's going to freeze a bunch of these Zerglings. That hive though is going to be so quick. I'm a little bit concerned for MaxPax, because I have the feeling that he's going to work with gateway units for a very long time. And sure, he may get stormed, but we're still looking at storm and gateway units. And then he's going to have to deal with Zerglings that have adrenal glands, if Reynor gets this. Maybe Lurkers with both of the hive tech upgrades. Reynor is on 92 drones, and it feels that he's just not in any danger of dying at all. We are in an 8-minute game, and the man has 92 drones. I have the feeling that if I play against the computer, I cannot have 92 drones at 8 minutes. If you tell me, Roddy, get hive tech and 82 drones and 5 bases against an AI, I don't know if I could do it. Reynor is doing it while playing against MaxPax and having a couple of safety links and having a couple of safety roaches. I can't imagine that this is the way. An uncharacteristically very slow and passive start between 2 of the very best players in Europe. I just feel that this favors Zerg in general. Zerg tacks up quicker, Zerg expands quicker, Zerg mines faster when it comes to building more workers at once. But hey, wouldn't I love to be wrong, guys? I see MaxPax just put on an absolute clinic here. Hello, Multi. I mean, both of them are just mega rich. MaxPax is now already building a fleet beacon and 2 additional stargates. So we have double forge, 9 gates, single robo, soon triple stargate. We're gonna work on the air upgrades and just round up the tech tree. Thank you, Doxer, and thank you to Distant X. Appreciate you guys. Reynor has not 1, but 2 Nidus networks going up right next to each other. So is it going to be Nidus galore? Hecate can be a very difficult map for the Zerg to actually get a Protoss out of there. Because like walking up these ramps and being forced to fight into these choke points can be very frustrating for a Zerg. I'm sure that Reynor had a scare or 2 in that previous game on Alcyone against Harstem. So Reynor is going to try to get the job done, guys, with some lurkers in the main. There are a couple of cannons here, but you cannot have cannons everywhere. MaxPax sees the Overseer. This is going to be the first Nidus, I guess. It's very important, by the way, that MaxPax is not maxed out, because if you're maxed out, you can't warp in any Zealots to deal with this. And we all know that Protoss players need to warp in units to deal with shit. First Nidus goes up in the main and will get denied by the Stalkers and the triple Zealot. Second Nidus in the main, that is a close attempt, but that is also going to get denied. So no, cool idea by Reynor, guys. The double Nidus is not going to be good enough. He does, however, already have lurkers now on top of this base at 6 o'clock. What have we got here? Another Nidus going up. Seems that Reynor is not in the mood to potentially play 25-minute games of a ZvP after that long one against Hearthstone. Can MaxPax successfully clean this up? Do we have enough observers everywhere where we need them the most? And don't forget, there is always another chance for a new Nidus to come online somewhere. At this point, the carriers are definitely just kind of doing their thing. We have +1 air weapons. Very important to stay on top of those air upgrades. We're 11 minutes in, mate. There you go. It's the beautiful thing about MaxPax, guys. If you look at something that he needs to do, and he will do it. Couple storms land, roaches die, and a few of the lurkers will deal damage. MaxPax is just trying to chill and play some late game, but I mean, let's see. Obviously, you gotta try something. It is not easy. And I'm sure that we had something to say about whatever way that he would play this. If it wouldn't go right, we'd say like maybe it didn't go right there, and then this game, it feels that the game plan is just get up to 4 bases quickly, dig in your heals, and build your dream army. Nice stasis trap there, by the way. Can we talk about how beautiful the map is? Those orange leaves over Magenta Abyss, Chef's Kiss. Linda, we can definitely talk about it. If you want to talk about how pretty Hecate is, feel free. You're not the only one who thinks that this is a very pretty map. So does Vicky. He's a big fan. Reynor does still have 8 roaches, by the way. And obviously the era of the roach is a little bit gone. MaxPax has 6 carriers, and Reynor at this point has only 14 Corruptors. Now 14 Corruptors can be good enough, but it all comes down to the engagement. If MaxPax is able to land a sweet feedback or two, it may not be all that easy. Archons could have a big impact on this fight, and don't forget about the storms. We are going to land the storm in the middle of most of those Corruptors, so that is a lot of damage. Will MaxPax recall, or does he want to battle here? I am not totally certain. Reynor is looking for another freebie with the Corruptors, but it's not going to be that easy. I think honestly most of the maps are pretty damn good. I don't really have a problem with any of the maps. 2 of them are weird, but weird is not bad. And I think this is the prettiest one, but pretty and good obviously are not the same thing in StarCraft 2, as the Corruptors are going to make a dive for these 2 carriers. And they will kill them rather quickly. The Mothership is going to use its cloaking ability, but there is very little to cloak. That was obviously not really the fight for MaxPax, since that was only like 30% of his army, but still a 30% that absolutely mattered. But hey, he has successfully taken out a base. He does still have a couple of leftover units in the center that are now going to battle. Some roaches and ravagers. An Archon dies. It's honestly a little bit surprising. 14 minutes in. Maybe it's time for this army to evacuate, because now the Vipers and Corruptors are in higher numbers, and they had some energy too. One of the carriers gets abducted. The Zealots do get another cancel, so that part is nice. The units lost resource step does show us, guys, that Reynor has lost 2.3k more. Like, that is a lot. The downside here, though, for our man Reynor, or for our man MaxPax rather, because obviously I don't think there's much of a downside for Reynor, is that Reynor has definitely mined more than 2.3k resources as well. That's why Reynor's got a bank, Reynor's got an army, working on all the upgrades. Perhaps MaxPax's game plan here, guys, is just 1 base at a time. Surprised that we still have Zealots in the mix here, but maybe to create a bit of chaos, as we have a couple of Archons started. So MaxPax basically has 3 armies out on the map right now. We got that Zealot run by, we got a tiny hit squad of some random units in the bottom, and we got a bigger army in the top. It's a very difficult way of playing StarCraft, but it might just be the way. Maybe MaxPax can actually just fight a smaller part of Reynor's armies. The corrupted count is so freaking high at the moment. It is almost so high, guys, that I would say maybe we can just take a fight and try to kill as many ground units as we can and then remax on the ground army. That is a crazy amount of corruptors. A couple of Tempest would be nice. I never really believe in Tempest. I feel like Tempest will just slow the game down, and the moment you slow the game down, the Zerg is gonna catch up in air upgrades. Now Reynor is not even that far behind, because +2 carapace is close to finishing up, while MaxPax is only now chrono boosting out +3. So Reynor is definitely very, very on top of the carapace upgrades on Inspire. I feel overall MaxPax definitely missed a couple moments to get air upgrades out slightly quicker. But I don't know if in this game, with the way that he has played it, if that would have made much of a difference. Reynor has more army in the bottom side, and that's why MaxPax thinks that this is a fight that he wants to take, perhaps that he even needs to take. There isn't really a whole lot that he gains here. Meanwhile, all of the corruptors are chilling in the middle. Slowly but steady though, guys, MaxPax is matching Reynor's expand greed. As Reynor had all the bases early, MaxPax kind of took it one base at a time, was on 4 bases for a while. Eventually got a 5th, is now trying to take a 6th and a 7th base. I have a hard time imagining that Reynor is just going to sit there and let it happen. It feels like it's a great game, but it still feels like we are waiting for all hell to break loose. It is definitely a very high level game, because what they are doing right now, splitting up their army the way they have been doing it, and poking and prodding, and a couple trades here, a couple trades there. Like, you need so much confidence to play like this. It is very different than just keeping your entire army together, as now MaxPax has decided to recall that army from the top left to the bottom right. And while Reynor is maybe a tiny bit out of position, MaxPax says, this is the play that I need to get on top of that center base. Take out the lurkers, take out the spore crawlers. As the mummy ship does get abducted, but hey, maybe it's already done its job. Those corruptors take a lot of damage. Is this the way, guys? With a great tactical recall, where our man Reynor was a bit out of position, obviously because he had to worry about that army in the top left. As the storm does clip a lot of these Hydras, we have a bunch of Zealots just running past the spines. I don't know if they want to fight the spines. The Zealots do have good upgrades, and once they have these upgrades, they can do pretty decent against spine crawlers. But I think for us, it's time to focus on this army. We've got 20 Corruptors that are going to try to take out 7 carriers. 1 carrier takes a lot of damage and will fall. Second carrier is going to go fall, but look at the amount of damage that these Corruptors are taking from the storms. I kind of believe that the Stalkers and the Archons, guys, on the ground are making the difference here in favor of MaxPax. And Reynor is remaxing on 11 Roaches, 21 Hydras and a Viper. But those units are going to come from all over the place, and MaxPax with a slow and steady absolute PvZ masterclass takes the 1-0 lead. I mean, that unit positioning there was just perfect. I think Reynor technically had the right amount of Corruptors. But you look at these storms, you look at the Stalkers that are just not being attacked by Lurkers or Broodlords. And then you have a bunch of Archons on the ground. At first they were not in the fight. And here they started participating in the fight, where you have the Stalkers chipping away at all the Corruptors. This Archon getting a lot of shots off. That is good enough for MaxPax to take the 1-0 lead. In the top right side, this man just gave us another replay. For anyone who's out there, what is... It's an early probe scout. I guess he just wants to block. Just another perfect example on why we have been calling this man the best Protoss player on this planet for quite some time, taking the 1-0 lead, because he wants to have a date with his favorite Terran in the grand finals of the weekly. This is Psystorm Gaming's MaxPax. Bottom left side, we are looking at the main base of the Italian Stallion, who has been trying to win a weekly. It turns out, guys, that it's a little harder than what it looks like. Down 0-1. This is Reynor. Made it to the finals of the weekly last Thursday, but obviously that one was supposed to be played on Monday. But that cup got postponed because the servers were not working initially. And the week prior to that, Reynor actually lost to mana. Not sure why he didn't go Broodlords. Probably because he felt he needed those Corruptors to battle the carriers. He could have had some Broodlords maybe a bit earlier and then throw away more army supply. But it's obviously very hard as a Zerg as well to figure out when can I get rid of certain units and when do I need other units. Especially when MaxPax has 2 if not 3 armies in the center of the map roaming around looking for an opportunity to get on your bases. If you give him an easy opening by donating a bunch, can be the end. I thought it was a fun game. Very high level. I wonder what kind of an adjustment Reynor will make heading into game 2. Reynor, most of the time when I watch him in these kinds of online cups, he will play one game the way that he just did, where it's like all out macro, let's get Hive, let's get Lurkers, let's get Double Nidus. And then the second game he often switches it up and he just tries to go pedal to the metal of even Lair Tech with crazy amount of links, roaches, ravages, banes. Obviously that's not a guarantee, but maybe that's also just having a bit of fun. Sure, there is money on the line, there are EPT points on the line, but Reynor doesn't need to worry too much about EPT points, and if he would have cared about the $200 that much, he would have played this a million times in the past, right? So it could be that even though he's bringing his absolute A game, he's also still trying to have some fun. And it's also a good moment, right, to test certain styles. Heading into Katowice, there aren't too many Protoss players there, but there will still be a decent amount of them. MaxPax is not one of them, but I'm sure that Reynor wants to know what he finds more success with. Is it the Lurkers? Is it quick Broodlords? Or will it be just some good old Lair Tech aggression? This is definitely harder after the Baneling got nerfed. What happened to Gabe? Gabe is not playing and I don't know why. A lot of people seem to think that I'm Gabe's assistant. That I always know where Gabe is at, how Gabe is feeling, why he does or doesn't do those things. I don't know, guys. I know that Gabe a while ago had some speeches on saying that he didn't really want to play in the weekly unless he thinks that he could win it. And he didn't feel that he was in the kind of shape to beat Clem or MaxPax. But that was a while ago, so I don't know if that applies to tonight. I don't know, maybe Gabe has a date with an 8. Who knows? And Gabe deserves a 10, but maybe it's an 8. Who knows? Reynor sees that MaxPax is going up to 3 bases once more. Obviously, last game MaxPax opened up Adept, Stalker, Adept. This game it was a little bit different as he hasn't made that Stalker yet. And he's focusing mostly on making Adepts. Let's see if there is an opening for these 2 Oracles. Double Oracle flies into the natural, gets the double kill. Maybe a triple kill here. Could go for that Spore. Does not want to go for it with that many queens. So this Spore is not done yet, so Reynor is going to be forced to pull the drones away again. Don't hate this start for MaxPax. Sure, he lost 1 Adept, but that's overall pretty smooth Oracle movement. Also, MaxPax is very good at making it look easy to kill stuff with Oracles. I don't know if you guys ever tried, but Oracles suck to control. I never forget that we had that one IM Katowice where we started calling Trap the Wing Commander. Because he just made Oracle movement look so logical and fluent. And I was like, no. Phoenixes, they move correctly. That's why I love them. Oracles move in a very stupid way. They kind of like glide a little. And I guess if you practice enough with it, you'll be fine. What happened to Oracle number 3? Just send it on. Did you guys know that Cristiano is the only non-MaxPax and Clan player to win the EU Kips in 6 months? Cristiano is goated, baby. Imagine if PvT was balanced, what he would be capable of. Reynor is gonna go for +1 melee with a lair on the way as MaxPax is already making some progress to the center of the map. All 3 Oracles are still alive. As he's going to split off the Adepts, by the way. 2 Adepts are going to shade into the natural. That has some potential. I don't know if Reynor is on top of it. Of course Reynor is on top of it. He got the heads up there with those 2 creep tumors that were forward. So at this point he knows. Was he really dead there? Where? You mean the previous game? Yes. He was definitely dead. Roddy and Gabe are besties. I mean, I'm definitely good friends with Gabe. I don't know if I would go as far to say that we are besties. But he is going to run a tournament soon and he invited me, so I feel somewhat honored. 16 Stalkers with +1 close to finishing up and a bunch of Oracles in the back to keep these Stalkers safe from Link Surrounds. But Link Surrounds are inevitable if we are watching Reynor. And I assume that recall is not available. I think otherwise we would have recalled there. Good news for MaxPax is that all 3 Oracles live. The bad news is that he lost a decent amount of Stalkers there. Stalkers are pretty expensive, Zerglings are not. I can't imagine that MaxPax was very happy with that, but I also can't imagine that he had no energy at all to recall. Or maybe he really didn't. That maybe he felt that if he recalls there, he's going to lose like 4 units regardless. So recalling or trading and trying to run home with whatever is safe once Blink is off cooldown is going to be the same. I'm not totally certain. Reynor's economy is not looking too impressive, but Reynor does have a rich Vespian Geyser. He's gonna go Mudas. Do we believe in Mudas against a MaxPax who already has 5 gates is not that many. Soon 7 gateways with Stalkers with Blink and +1 done. Honestly, it's a little bit risky what Reynor is doing. He is definitely playing a very different game than he did in that game 1. The War Prism gets spotted by the Mudas, but we can also turn that one around and say that the War Prism spots the Mutalisk. So MaxPax does get a solid 10-15 seconds heads up before all of these Mudas are going to reveal themselves here. And that's going to make your life a little bit easier. That means you can warp in a couple Stalkers. Now 2 Stalkers is not really enough. You can blink them back to that battery, but I don't like that warp in, by the way. So the Mudas of Reynor are actually finding some good success here. 15 of them out already. Do we have a way to make Archons? Not yet. We have a whole bunch of probes getting picked off, but obviously if Reynor ends up losing 5 or so Mutalisk, I would say it's kind of even. MaxPax is a 4-base Protoss, so you can build 4 probes at a time. Losing 13 workers, it's not pleasant, but it is something he can recover from rather quickly. And as long as there is no moment where this number right here is going to dip into like the 40s or the 30s, there's nothing to really worry about. Definitely pretty good Muda play, but it's also just Lairtech Zerg, and it's just a couple of Mudas. Reynor has now 22 Banelings morphing in the center of the map, and he's about to send it, but there are stasis trappies here for days, and I'm afraid that the stasis traps are going to be the most annoying thing of everything here for Reynor. There are so many of them, and he may split off 1 or 2 links to activate 1 or 2 trappies, but there are just so many of them. Shield Battery Overcharge gets activated as well, and that can obviously make this very hard. My keyboard is dying, guys, in the middle of the fight. Can you believe it? I don't know why this is the second time in a couple of days my keyboard is dying, so I couldn't zoom in or out. But I have kind of fixed it. The Mudas is still killing some probes, but in the end, I think MaxPax kind of handles this relatively well. There's something wrong with my keyboard. My lights are going on and off, and now it's completely dead. God damn it. This has never happened, and now it's happening for the second time in just a couple of days. Okay, I want to take a break because I want to plug my keyboard in and out, but I also don't want to do that now because I could miss a potentially game-deciding fight. I cannot rotate the tabs anymore, but what I can do is show you guys this fight of a lot of links, Banelings, and Mutalisk getting on top of the triangle, and that is apparently good enough for Reynor to get the job done with some Lairtech Zerg magic. Reynor made it to the finals on Thursday because that cup got moved from last Monday when Battle.net did not work properly, which is why I was not here, by the way, last Monday. There was no tournament. We did it on Thursday. Reynor made it to the finals. It was close. It was 3-2 for Clem. 24 hours later, they played against each other in the Basilisk Big Brain bouts. It was close, but it was 3-1 in favor of Clem. If Reynor wins this game, We'll see if it gets close again. Maybe he can go all the way this time around. Reynor trying to get all of the ZvT practice in before Kato. I wanted to actually grab myself a drink and then I didn't do it. But that's okay. So Clem took out Kalazur 2-0 in the other semifinals. I said that it looked like it, and I guess that has been confirmed now. That's free, Roddy. I will not promise you guys that, but I can promise you to try to limit to the 3 minutes an hour that we need to do. Well, need to do. Sort of need to do. Which Reynor are we going to see on Oceanborn? Will it be Quick Hive Reynor? Will it be more Lair Tech Magic Reynor? Surprising that he won with the Lair Tech stuff and he lost with the Hive, because I do think that Hive Tech Zerg is a lot better than Lair Tech Zerg. But I guess if you have a man like Reynor and you have his speed and his ability to multitask and find openings with the Lings and Banes and have perfect Muda movement, then it is okay. Hello, Pantelus Skeletor. The day has been good. Masters Colosseum early today, in case you guys missed it. You didn't miss much. Out of all the days so far, this was the most one-sided day. A little bit underwhelming. But tomorrow I think it's going to be awesome. In basically 14 hours from now, we will be here. And we're going to watch 4 mirror matchups. But all 4 are fucking awesome. So yeah, it's been a good Monday. It could have been better, but it's still pretty good. And I'm very excited for Tuesday. And let's see what the rest of this evening will bring. MaxPax's opening has been back to that game 1 opening where it is Adept Stalker. On Solaris he opened up with triple Adept, triple Oracle. Here it is once more Adept Stalker. Very quick Nexus. Even for modern day PvZ standards. You hope I casted Katowice. Well, earlier today we came to the conclusion that apparently I have now, if I get invited, done Katowice 10 years in a row, guys. And they said I should have got a Kato 10 C award. Not quite the G5L, but casting the same tournament 10 years in a row is pretty crazy. ESL Daily? No. It was a one-time off that we did it on Thursday. And Friday was the big rain bouts, which is obviously not the same as the European Weekly. No EPT points on the line for that one. But always a pretty fun show on the Friday night. So similar openings to what we saw on Hecate. It could have something to do with the size of the map as well, right? Where even though all these maps are kind of big, I do feel that especially Oceanborn is proper large. Katowice prize pool may be a tiny bit lower than last year. I didn't actually compare them. But last year Katowice was the official world championship for StarCraft 2. And this year it is not. So there will be another tournament that is bigger. But I think it is very similar. I didn't dive into it too much. All I know is going to be awesome. 24 of the best video gamers on the planet in Katowice. These 2 oracles will fly in, take a lot of damage. MaxPax does keep them alive. That is the most important part. The fact that his 2 adepts get surrounded and he doesn't get a whole lot done is less fantastic. Where Roddy lives now, anyone knows? Does anyone know, guys? If only there is a way to figure out where Roddy lives, right? Unless you would click on the profile and then you read the first line. I live in Zuidland, which is a very tiny village that almost nobody will know outside of the Netherlands. But it is somewhat close to the city of Rotterdam. MaxPax flies in one more time, even though one of these oracles was better than Bruised. That is not going to discourage him. Gets a single worker. As MaxPax once upon a time said when he was playing 2v2s with Kalazur. Not totally worth mentioning. Revelation goes down on the Queens. Reynor is going to drop the Spire once more. Says, hey, it worked pretty well in the previous game. I'm going to go ahead and do it all over again. Now, this situation is very different because I feel like A, this Spire is quicker. B, obviously, this map does not have a rich Vespian Geyser. And C, MaxPax is not going for Blink and +1 like it did in that previous game. Instead, MaxPax is gearing up for some good old Zealot Archon aggression. And I don't know if Reynor has already figured this out. But without the Roach one, it should be very difficult to deal with this shit, as he does move the Queens very far forward. That is a good thing when it comes to dealing damage to the Oracles. That is a bad thing when it comes to maybe keeping these Queens safe. I think Reynor is in trouble. If MaxPax micros this properly, and if he plays it with heart and commitment, I don't see how Reynor's current army can really deal with a War Prism and Archons and Oracles. But Reynor is going to try to show us the way. If a couple force fields go down, no Ravages, by the way, guys. No Roach Warren obviously means no Ravages. Means you cannot take out force fields. And that means that these Archons are just going to have a pretty good time getting very sick shots off. All the Oracles now think of fighting. It is starting to look like there's a crazy amount of Zerg here, though. Where are the reinforcements for MaxPax? As he has a couple Zealots coming in. I'm going to say it's a little bit late. We do have Zealots running into the natural too, but with the 38 extra links on the way, I actually think Reynor is going to be fine here. MaxPax kept that War Prism so far back. Was obviously focused on the second Robo. And now that Spire is going to hurt so freaking bad. If Reynor has the confidence to build Mutas, that is. We are not there yet, as the Revelation goes down. MaxPax is not done pushing yet. Maybe Reynor is still in a bit of trouble. I'm surprised that it went as well for him as it did. But that doesn't mean that he's totally out of trouble. But yeah, if 10 Mutas come out, it's going to be difficult for MaxPax. MaxPax has to know, because obviously what he was battling there was pure Queen Ling. There were no Roaches, no Banelings, no Hydras. So that all that gas that Reynor has been mining has got to go somewhere. Defending against Mutas, if you don't have any Phoenix and you don't have Stalkers with Blink, is so freaking hard. MaxPax's War Prism is once more gonna say hello to the Mutalist, and that obviously means that A, he gets a little bit of time. He moves out immediately. I don't know though, but how are you going to end this game if you can't reinforce this army? Not sure. Reynor fires up 13 drones. Archons are gonna try to greet the Mutas. Maybe MaxPax, his plan is just to immediately attack Reynor, but how much does Reynor have? 28 links, 7 roaches, 12 banelings. The Mutas are going to deal a lot of damage on the other side of the map. MaxPax has a couple stalkers without blink, so this is basically it, guys. It really comes down to this fight. The 2 oracles die very quickly. The banelings do a very good job in softening up the entire army. The archons are going to die, and this is really starting to look like this will be another encounter between Reynor and Clem. Because MaxPax was not ready for the Mutas. I think if he would have warped in more Archons, more Zealots, right on top of the 4th base, he could have won that fight. He kept that Warp Prism super far back. He was always waiting for that moment where Reynor would show up with a crazy amount of units, but didn't really come. But then by the time that maybe MaxPax figured it out, it was too late to really punish Reynor for the way that he was playing. So Reynor gets away with a quick Spire, and even if MaxPax has 80 workers now, guys, no blink, very low Phoenix count. Might not be crazy bad yet if MaxPax somehow does not take damage in the next minute. And since Reynor has built so many drones, there is a small chance. Like if MaxPax makes it until like 11:30 without taking crazy damage, obviously the game doesn't look so bad for him. Because the Muta count is a little bit lower now than it was before, as the Mutas are going to try to chase another War Prism. At the same time, though, 28 probes die, as Reynor says, hello, here are all the links, the bangs, the roaches, and the ravages. So that not taking any damage didn't really work out very well. Hive is now obviously done. I'm not totally certain what Reynor wants to do with Hive Tech. I'm going to get Vipers first, and I guess Adrenal Glands would be useful. He's going to fire that up quickly as well. I don't really believe in a Protoss with only charge. It really limits the ability that MaxPax has. In a funny way, guys, a Dark Shrine would not be bad here. Because Reynor doesn't have a way to keep the Overseer alive, but the Phoenix count is not crazy high, and I don't think we're going to see a Dark Shrine anytime soon. Reynor is looking for a surround, looking for a great engagement, and if that's not possible, he's just gonna keep on dealing damage with these Zerglings that have +2 melee. The Phoenixes are being annoying, but that is not good enough. MaxPax needs a little more than killing one Phoenix at a time, as now the shield batteries and the cannons have died so early. He lost 28 probes, 14 additional workers go down. Every single probe at that 4th base has disappeared. Another Archon gets picked off, and Reynor is just remaxing Onlings, Roaches. Still, by the way, has these Mutas. No, there aren't too many of them. He even kills the Nexus. I think MaxPax is kind of dead. 3 base Protoss, 76 army supply, a couple Colossus, a couple Archons. It is unfortunately for the Prince of Denmark not going to be good enough. So we're gonna have a repeat over the grand finals of last Monday. That wasn't like Monday, but it was Thursday instead. A ZvT round 3 between Reynor and Clem. Earlier today, Clem played a ZvT and, well, TVZ in his eyes, and lost somewhat surprisingly against Solar in the Masters Colosseum. They went for a proxy 2-Rex in game 1. Was a little bit uncharacteristic. Clem, of course, did it against Zero in the WTL Code S finals, but if you don't think about that game, and you would ask me when is the last time when Clem went proxy 2-Rex in TVZ, I would not have had an answer for you. So the Clem almost never does it. MaxPax is going to try to get that 4th base up and running one more time. He's still just kind of stuck with his current comp of a couple of Archons, a couple of Colossus, and a couple of Phoenixes. Zealots have charge, and that is it. What do we make of this game? I like how the Mutas is still alive. I can help out. It feels that this game is not going anywhere. But I would love to be wrong. If MaxPax wasn't like 75 probes, there is obviously always a chance. Reynor is now getting a 2nd Spire, by the way. But he's not even using the other one, so I find that a bit weird. It's almost like he forgot that he has a Spire, because that first Spire isn't even doing anything. But if you still have 5 Mutas roaming the map, you should know that you have a Spire. And I'm pretty certain he does, but tiny bit confused. Or maybe Reynor just says, fuck it, I'm rich, and just in case I have to worry about carriers, I can make Corruptors and I can get double upgrades. That is the 3rd War Prism, right? We're gonna land a couple of updocks. Obviously, this Zerg army should do very well here. Battery overcharge is normally the only thing that can really save you in fights that look very dire. Reynor is gonna settle for the probes rather than trying to blow up some Archons. And MaxPax holds, but not before losing a lot of expensive units that he has a very hard time replacing. Loses 8 more probes. It was about as good for MaxPax as it was ever going to be. But yeah, he can't reinforce. Maybe you have to go. Yeah, maybe he also feels that after taking a fight that good, he does not need to go. The next time around, though, it won't just be Lings and Roaches and Banes. It's going to be a whole bunch of Ultras as well. Maybe even more Vipers. As the leftover Mutalisks show up on the 4th base. I think one of the most telling stats about this game is that Reynor has killed 68 probes and MaxPax has killed 8 drones. You now have 10 Zealots running into Ultras, but that is not a pretty fight for the Zealots that are gonna have to disengage. You have Zealots running into Queens, not a pretty fight for the Zealots. I'll be honest, there is no such thing as a pretty fight for Zealots. Lings with Adrenal Glands and +2 will decimate this middle line one more time as we have one of these patented Ling run-bys by Reynor. The doors are wide open in the natural. Fighting Archons near battery overcharge could get dicey as those probes I do think are in a bit of a pickle. So 25 additional workers fall. Maybe the Archons and the Colossus do alright against this ground army. Reynor's getting a greater Spire. On his Neo Spire, by the way, so not on the OG Spire. Maybe Reynor couldn't find his Spire and he didn't know where it was. I think that was a very different game. Maples. You know that, obviously. I mean, I know you're smart. Obviously, that game, Reynor was playing Hydra, Ling, Bane, and had a couple of lurkers without Hive Tech. This game, Reynor is a Hive Tech Zerg. MaxPax has been able to do at least a good job defensively. But that's also because Reynor is not going all out for the army. Reynor is kind of like battling the army and then killing a lot of economy. Battling the army, killing a lot of economy. That's why I think MaxPax's army has been doing surprisingly well. I think the moment that Reynor says, alright, I no longer go for your economy, I'm just going to go ahead and try to clean up your army. I believe that he will succeed. With the Ultras, though, it is always a tiny bit scary, as the Phoenixes are going to lift the Queens in the back. There are not too many Immortals, and I think to battle this many Ultras, you need a crazy amount of Immortals. 2 or 3 Immortals is not going to be enough. GG! It will be, once more, Reynor versus Clem in the grand finals of the European Pro Tour weekly.